Merhabalar herkese. Bugün burada insan kaynaklarının Web3'teki yerini konuşmak için toplandık. Konuşmacılarımızı görüyoruz. Bir tane konuşmacımız maalesef bugün gelemedi. O yüzden 3 kişi konuşma yapıyor olacağız. Panelimiz İngilizce. Buradan sonra İngilizce devam ediyoruz. Welcome, Shaheen and Umut. Nice to see you here. So I'll be starting my questions now about our Web3 in HR. Talents in Web3 are borderless. How do you approach hiring and managing a globally distributed team, especially across different time zones and cultures? I would love to have both of your answers. First, Shaheen, please go.
Okay, so look, firstly, the fact that we're able to hire globally is nothing new. We've been doing it for decades, right? I view this as a gift, the opportunity to be able to hire people globally. But I think one of the most important things that we tend to forget is the cultural relevancy piece around trying to understand the different nuances of hiring locally. The important thing when we're hiring people globally is to truly understand the importance of relationships, connecting people through our values and our corporate culture. That's really, really important because you've got someone in Buenos Aires versus someone in the Philippines, two different cultures, two different ways of working. And as managers, it's really, really important to understand those different nuances. So hiring globally is a great thing, but managing them globally, that's the biggest challenge. And I think that's where we need to kind of really focus our attention on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Deniz?
Yeah, actually, for many scopes, different cultures leads us to learn different cultures and also different courtesies as well. I mean, most of the managers in Web3, luckily, they have kindness and they're so open communicated. So within that, actually, they can talk with the other cultures and they can hire from other cultures. And with this merger, the employees can work decentralized, like the Web3 way, and also this decentralized work is also leading us the perfect workload and workforce for us. I mean, for the managing side and for HR side as well, HR always needs to learn new cultures from the new employees because we're mostly working with the other countries because of the business needs. When we learn their culture, we're always implementing the whole company with the best solutions for it. So using the other cultures and other courtesies, yes, for sure. Within the HR practices, we're always implementing, and they're all learning about it. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much. My second question is, as we all know, Web3 is a fast-moving and often undefined space for all of us. It's moving and growing all the time. So what qualities do you prioritize when hiring talents for such a rapidly evolving space?
I didn't hear correctly for the last words. Can
My last words? Again? Yeah. What qualities do you prioritize when hiring talents for such a rapidly evolving space?
Yes, for sure. I mean, most of the people are thinking like Web3 is something different than Web2 because they're always seeking for other how can I say, features, like you need to learn crypto or you need to know crypto, you need to work in crypto. But it's not the big deal. I mean, when Web3 started in Turkey and also globally, we all hire from the Web2 industry. So in summary, the first quality is, as I said earlier, the kindness and the open communication because they need to learn from each other. And also they need to eager to learn. I mean, when we're facing with the candidate, like I know everything. No, you do not have everything, and you do not know everything. So that's the qualities what we're looking for, and also honesty and other things as well. But we're always looking for people's core values. Core values is so important in Web3. I can say that Web3 is that much valuable just because of it. Yeah.
Thank you. And you, Shaheen?
So I think that passion is a key driver for employee engagement, right? And I see that passion in Web3. People who want to work in Web3 are really passionate about Web3. That's a great thing. but you also have to have the core skill set that we look for in candidates. And sometimes you need to be able to balance that between core skill set and experience versus having a real passion for Web3. And I think a lot of times, at least from my experience, what I have found is people tend to hire people because they're passionate about Web3. They bring them into the company and they realize that they don't have the skills. Yeah? So I think when we're looking for people, it's really important to think about their experience. They have to have a little bit of understanding of Web3. That's a good thing. But you've also got people who come into Web3 who don't have experience of Web3. So they bring a different kind of perspective, a different kind of skill set. So the makeup of the team needs to be really, really diverse. I say this all the time working at EAK. We have 4 different generations working under the same roof, all of whom want very, very different things, all of whom bring different perspectives. That is a good thing. That is a strength.
I think so, and I think we are lucky to hear both perspectives here. One young, talented HR, and one wise, talented HR here. So thank you. So I'm going to my third question now then. Many people enter Web3 from non-traditional backgrounds. How do you assess and support non-linear career paths and self-taught candidates?
I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat the question?
You don't hear me. Do you hear me? At least? Okay, perfect. So, I'm repeating my question. Many people enter Web3 from non-traditional backgrounds. How do you assess and support non-linear career paths and self-taught candidates?
So I kind of used the traditional model of the 70-20-10 approach to learning. 70% of learning takes place on the job. So in the Web3 space, we kind of expect people to be more proactive around their learning. And that's kind of expected, right? People expect people to come in and think, you've kind of taken the ownership to at least have a basic understanding of Web3, right? If they don't, because they come from a non-traditional Web3 background, that 70% of the 70-20-10 approach to learning kicks in because you learn on the job. To think about things like, the more you do something over and over again, it becomes repetitive, and that's how you learn. 20% of learning takes place from your manager, your colleagues. Yeah, you learn from them, which is why it's so important to have a very, very strong leadership management framework who are willing to mentor you and coach you. So 20% of learning takes place from that perspective. And then 10% of learning takes in the classroom. So the company has to take ownership and responsibility to teach you. That's really, really important. So if you think about organizations who normally tend to have a very small budget when it comes to training, suddenly using a 70-20-10 approach to learning, that budget can go far. And it goes back to what I said earlier on around the makeup of our team is really, really important. So if you've got the makeup of our team is all Gen Z, for example, you're going to have very limited amount of learning taking place because they're all at the early stages of their career. By having a really diverse makeup of your team, it allows for learning to take place. It's all about creating a culture of learning so that people can learn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also I can add something from the past as well. I mean, most of the Web2 companies, as you know, they're looking for years of experience actually. Not in the company, but also out of the company, from past experiences as well. But Web3 is not so long time industry. So we all try to improve our talents again and again and again. And within these talents, right now you can find an HRBP from 27 years old, or you can find any BD manager for 25 years old. I mean, these people are so young. In Web2 world, maybe we were assistant, etc. But in Web3, we had to learn some things. And within this Web2's, how can I say, dynamics, we improved ourselves, and with the managers, and also with the correct culture and with the correct mindset. Actually, all the people wants to teach something to their employees. So within that, we are creating their career paths all the time. I mean, it's changing between the companies as well. But the thing is that these companies are creating their own culture. So as an example, from one of the biggest global exchanges, they're using their own employees and they're not let them go because they want to build themselves, like the Coca-Cola. But some of the startups are just hiring and firing so many people, and they're trying to create the best culture within that. I mean, the method may be different, but the improving is so fast and so dynamic in Web3. So yeah, most of the times managers are doing on their imaginations for most of their employees. But the thing is that Web3 is evolving and employees are evolving as well. So most of the times they're finding their own paths, but also companies and HRs also they're helping. We're helping them so much for this path.
And also, these platforms in Web3, these events are great. I mean, I've been in HR for 27 years, but the amount of community engagement you get, the community spirit, is so amazing in Web3.
It's so different as well.
I mean, I joke about this, but when I first came into Web3, I thought an NFT was an American football club. I had no idea. But you know, what the good thing about Web3 is people are okay to take you aside and have that conversation with you. That's learning taking place, right? And you never stop learning. You never stop earning your stripes or paying your dues. And I think in Web3, there needs to be an open mind around learning, because there's a lot of people here who think they know a lot about Web3, but we're all learning. And you know, every day there's something new that we need to learn. Yeah.
I do believe that as well. Like, I think every day is a new learning at any age. And after this question, I would like to dive into a little bit of psychology here, because like HR is the most known person when it comes to psychology in the workplace. And like in Web3, as we are in an always online culture at the moment, at Gen Z and also in Web3, generally Gen Z people are working in Web3, people burn out so fast, so quickly. People have ADHD, people have other like psychological disorders sometimes. So how do you deal with it? Like, how can HR lead the way to creating a sustainable workplace for their employees, for their culture? Like, how do you do that in your own roles?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Yeah.
So I think we can take this method like twofold, and one-fold is that we need to check the people or employee, like if they have real ADHD, not something procrastinating easy way, or if they have a habit like a procrastinating, or if they have any kind of issue in their family matters. They're mostly the same thing in Web2 as well, the other companies as well. It's not about the Web3. It's not about the always online system, because as an example, let's say you're working 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I mean, this is your working time, and you can finish your work time, because no work may not go that much long than like 6 p.m. after work normally. I mean, you need to be proactive in your work. This is one fault. The other one is that, the truth is that, especially for cryptocurrency exchanges, they're working 24/7. Because of the investors, because of our users, many things can happen. But we just adapt ourselves to that. That's why actually there's many working methods, like work 3 hours and sleep a half hour, something like it. But to make this much more right, HRs are always giving some psychological consultant as well. I mean, we're always asking like, are you well? With your family, with your girlfriend, with your other things as well. I mean, firstly, employee or people needs to be on their own conscience very well, and they have to be healthy. After this healthy status, yes, HR might do so many things, but also for some roles, as an example, a community manager, yes, they need to work in 24 hours, unfortunately. But they can work in shifts, they can work other things. But I don't agree so much about always online thing, because yeah, you have 9 hours and you can do all the things for 9 hours. For extra things, yes, we cannot do so many things about it. But yeah, that's my idea actually. What do you think about it?
So mental health is on the increase, regardless of whether it's in Web3 or non-Web3. It's, since COVID, people have there's been depression, and I work in various different industries. So mental health is on the increase. So firstly, as an employer, you need to recognize that. Then you need to create the organizational culture that allows the employees to be able to address any of their concerns. So training managers around coaching and identifying mental health, and then supporting your employees, and creating kind of products and services as part of your benefit package that supports your employees. So things like employee assistance programs that are confidential lines where individuals can call a confidential line, whether that's from a counseling, from a psychology perspective, or anything. It's completely confidential. HR or the employer will never find out. So creating the infrastructure within the company that supports people's health and well-being. We don't do enough of that, but that's not unique to Web3. It's in every organization. More could be done. And in terms of how people work, around the clock, it's about working smart. Yeah?
Exactly.
Being nimble, being flexible, taking time out. Burnout is part of health and well-being. If a manager identifies that someone's working too hard, have they taken breaks? It's really, really difficult when you're working remotely. Managing people is hard enough working under one roof. Managing them globally adds another layer of challenge. But having these conversations, getting on Zoom calls, check in with your employees to see how they are, not related to their work. How are you doing? What do you need from me? How can I better support you? These are conversations that should be happening, and it's not happening enough.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. After this burnout, right? I mean, no, the solution is not firing them firstly. We're not talking about it. But I can say that an HR employee, an HR manager, always need to talk with the employee. I mean, so many things might happen. I mean, most of the times, as I observe, many times this kind of burnout things, it's not about the job. It's about the lifestyle. It's not about the discipline in their life and also in their work. So as in HRs and as a discipline of the company, we're always trying to improve their life skill and also their working times and also their workload. Maybe some problem might happen in their work, and maybe some problem might happen in their families and other things as well. We are just trying to identify and we're just trying to solve, but sometimes we cannot do anything as well. But the firing is not an option, is not a solution. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also it's very, very important to identify, and depending on which particular jurisdiction you work in, firing someone who has mental health issues is a protected characteristic, especially in the European Union and the UK. If someone is identified as having a mental health issues, you cannot terminate them because they are protected by law. So the labor laws in Europe are very, very different to the labor laws, let's say, in South America versus in India versus in the US, where everyone's an employee at will. So firing is not always that easy. Depending on which jurisdiction you're in, it can be an extremely lengthy process. But I'm also aware that depending on the contracts they're under, it might be easier to terminate people. Yeah.
Yeah, for this kind of thing, I can recommend that you need to go to your HR, especially for your HRBP or HR manager, whatever. And you need to talk about your problems, and you need to talk about what you have in your company right now. HR comes a solution with you. I mean, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, this is our work. This is what we're doing right now. I mean, I know that if you're working company, you have a HR, and just go and talk with them. And this is a public announcement. Like, if you have this kind of problem, yeah, talk with your HR.
It's a very good question, though.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that people are here. They want to understand the inner workings of the secret world of human resources.
Exactly.
And we're kind of giving you a little bit by bit information. But behind the scenes, I can tell you, if you came into our offices and you were talking about some of the issues, the work that we do in terms of risk assessments, it's quite detailed. We speak to lawyers every single day. It's part of our job. So it's never really a black and white approach to terminating someone on the grounds of mental health or any other reason.
Thank you so much. And now, I would love to ask you about a general opinion. Web3 itself says that Web3 is for everyone. First of all, do you agree in that? And secondly, do you think really this diverse and inclusive in practice?
Okay, you go first.
Shaheen, yeah.
Okay, I will. Okay, look, I used to be head of HR for Estee Lauder companies around inclusion and diversity. So I'm a big fan of inclusion and diversity. And when I walk into a room like this, I look at the makeup. How many women are here? How many women of color are here? Are all the minority groups represented here? Mm-hmm. And if they're not, then we're not diverse. And I think with Web3, there's a real opportunity here. But from observation alone, I don't think that we're as inclusive and as diverse. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that we've learned from the Web2 space, which is a real shame, because you hear stories in the metaverse, people being bullied and all sorts of things, right? So in the Web3 space, there needs to be a real focus on representation. We need to be dragging women on the main stage, empowering them, giving them a voice. We need to be doing that for every single minority group. Are we doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think there's a lot of work to be done. And this is where the role of human resources comes into play. And we were having a conversation before we came on stage. We were saying that in the Web3 world, there's the world of decentralization. HR is going to be threatened by extinction. They're not going to need us anymore. Well, guess what? There are more there are more companies in the Web3 space that are finally realizing the value of HR. And they're finally bringing HR into their companies. Yeah. Because ultimately, we're talking about people here. So issues around inclusion and diversity strategies, who's going to do that for you? HR will do that for you, right? So I think to answer your question, I think there's a lot of work to be done. We're behind the curve, but we're not unique. I think the Web2 industry is constantly behind the curve because of lack of investment and budgets internally. And I think we should do more. I think we're doing more, but I think that we need to allow minority groups a bigger voice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, I would like to say something else as well. So, as you know, Web3 is a so new industry. Mm-hmm. While we're looking for some employees and candidates, etc., I mean, most of the HRs are looking for a talent. They didn't look for any ethnicity, any gender, etc. Because in that time, I mean, at the beginning, we had to find someone to work with us in a cryptocurrency exchange or in a project, in a blockchain project. From that part, we create a culture. So within that culture, I think there is no such thing like different genders and different roles, and there is no something different approaches to other diversity people. So yeah, for Web3, I really love this stuff because people treat it equally, and it's all about the talents and it's all about the work. That's why actually we created this kind of decentralized work. Even the project or even the company is decentralized. We always look for some good talents and trustworthy talents. So yeah, I mean, if there is any discrimination, something like it, I know that any HR in Web3 didn't do, because we all try to find best talents in the market. Not something woman or man or non-binary and etc. etc. We didn't catch any kind of things. We just look for the best talents, and we're always doing it right now as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Finally, my final question here is that what advice would you give to someone looking to start a career in Web3 today, like starting over, just entering Web3, and also from an HR perspective, what might not be obvious for them to know in advance?
Please read your contracts. That's the number one thing. You know, the challenges we have in Web3 is, oh, I didn't know this was in my contract. Well, you signed it. To read your contract. I know it's a piece of document, but it's an extremely important document because it's the relationship, the mutual relationship between the employer and the employee. That's the first thing. And what was the second point of your question, sorry?
What is not obvious for them to like expect when someone is starting Web3?
A lot
like
of
initially.
A lot of uncertainty. We're not as structured in the Web3 as the more traditional Web2 companies, which are very, very structured, right? We're very, very unstructured. And maybe in some ways that's a good thing because that allows for creativity and innovation. But when you're a new employee to whom this is your first job, this is your first experience. So if you come into a really unstructured environment, you just think this is what work looks like. And that can kind of snowball into how you view work in terms of behavioral issues that you might have to address from an HR perspective. So I think expect the unexpected, but it goes back to that's fine, but then also have a very, very strong management structure that's there to support the individual when they do something wrong or when you need to give them positive reinforcement. And I think that's really, really important. Conversations are really, really important, and I don't think there needs to be more conversations around people development.
Yeah, I mean, for obvious things are so obvious actually. Yeah, learn crypto, trade a little bit, and read some about Web3 and crypto and know some companies. Yes, for sure, these are the obvious things. But I can say that, yeah, please be open communicated as well. This is a really bold note because the open communication is so important while you're a candidate for something or when you're doing a job in Web3 as well. But I can say that you need to be confident about your talent. Maybe this is your, as you said, maybe this is your first job in Web3 or maybe this is your first experience and in your whole world. I mean, you need to be about confident yourself. Web3 is all about the confidence and also trust. So if you're confident about what you can do, yes, for sure, most likely you will be hired. And most likely you will find a great job for you. If it is not suitable for you, yes, for sure, you can go somewhere else because you can find another job so easily as well. But as I said, you need to be confident about what you can do. Maybe you do not have so many skill sets, or maybe you do not have so many Web3 experience in your pocket. But if you can say, okay, I know this stuff, and I know this job, and I'm so sure about it. And if you can hire me, you can get from me this kind of benefits. It is totally a plus one for me. It's totally a plus one. And So yeah, most likely these are the so enough. I mean, we're not looking so much high standards for Web3. I mean, if the person is a humankind, and also if this person is open communicated and it's so nice to us, yes, for sure, we can work with us.
Yeah, I think so. We do not have a lot of high standards, but like, it's a new thing. It's a new sector, and like it evolves every day. Like we learn every day a new thing. So people have to catch up, and I can say from my perspective as an employee working in Web3 space that like you have to catch up every day. You have to learn new things every day. You have to keep up with the updates every day. So this is sometimes challenging, but I think enjoyable at the same time for me. So I'm thanking you so much for your words, and thank you all for listening to us, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.